There are 6 topics to cover in grade 11, and we were discussing the basics of programming. In this topic, actually, what we are going to do, we are going to look at how are we going to solve a given problem using computers. So we'll be looking at building algorithms, which means the solution to a problem, listing step by step, and then convert the algorithm into a code, find bugs, errors in the coding, and then you are going to run the program. So we are going to look at everything. And this, we are going to also look at Pascal programming, right? When we talk about the solving a problem, there are 5 parts. Problem analysis, which means you look at input, output, and processes. Then you build the algorithm, which means you create algorithm. Then you convert the algorithm to a program or a code, and then you find any errors in the program, which we call bug, and correct them, which means debugging, and then finally running the program, right? So we discussed a couple of things, how to identify input output process. Now, for example, given 2 numbers, we know the 2 numbers are the input, and the total of the 2 numbers is the output, and to do that you have to add 2 numbers together. So basically identify, this is we call the analysis. So that part we have done. The next, actually, we looked at developing algorithms. And developing algorithms, there are a couple of ways to develop algorithm. You can use many techniques, flow charts as well as pseudocodes. Flow chart means graphical representation. Pseudocode means not actual code, but you write the program in simple English terms, right? And for the beginners, people recommend to use flow charts with graphical symbols. It's very easy to understand. So we were looking at how to represent algorithms using flow chart. So last time we looked at how to write flow charts. We did a couple of examples. So first of all, we look at how to draw 2 numbers. Let me share the program. So when we draw flow charts, you need to remember a couple of things. First of all, use of symbols. You have to use correct symbols. For example, start and end, we have this shape. So we say start, and then the input and output, you have to parallelograms like this. So we have to get the first number and then the second number, and then you can find the total by adding the 2 numbers. You calculate the total value, and finally you print out the total, right? So this is what we call the flow chart for adding 2 numbers. And if you look carefully, this is called sequence because you are going to execute all the instruction from top to bottom. You have a sequence. You first start, then you get first number, then second number, then perform the total addition, and then you print out the total, and this is the end. So which means you have a sequence when executing. Right. So today we are going to look at more examples. Right? Today we are going to look at more examples. So to start with, we want to discuss, there are 3 control structures we have to learn, right? There are 3 control structures. So let's take down. There are three types of control structures. There are three types of control structures. Used when developing algorithms. අපි අන්තිමට ඇඳලා තියෙන flow chart එකනේ. ඒකට පස්සේ ලියා ගන්න. There are three types of control structures used when developing algorithms. If you finish taking down, please let me know. Right, thanks Janani. So under this, let's take down. There are three types of control structures. Sequence, first one. Second one is called selection. Third one is repetition. There are three types of control structures used when developing algorithms: sequence, selection, and repetition. So these three types of control structure defines how a program executes, right? පුතල ලියාගෙන ඉවර නම් කියන්න. Sequence, selection, and repetition. So we'll start with sequence. Write a subtopic, sequence. පුතා sequence කියලා ලියලා ඒක යටින් ලියා ගන්න. When a program executes, all the statements from top to bottom then it is known as sequence control structure. When a program executes all the statements from top to bottom. Then it is known as sequence control structure, right? So then you draw this. So this is task 1, task 2, task 3. The line indicates that you start from the top, you perform task 1, then you perform task 2, then you perform task 3 and go. So if your flow charts look like this, that means if you see the statements one after the other like this, so we call this is as sequence. පොතල ලියාගෙන ඉවර නම් මට chat එකේ කියන්න. Finished? Okay, thanks, Samasha. Let's do the second example. Now, if you go back, even our first example, drawing a flowchart to add two numbers, it's sequence. Because all the instruction we have executed from top to bottom, right? So the first example is also example for sequence control structure, right? So let's do the second one. Let's take down second one. Draw a flowchart to calculate the area of a rectangle. So what we have to do is draw a flowchart to calculate area of a circle. First of all, let's do the analysis. What is the input? Yes, what is the input? Can one of you tell me what is the input? Pramudi? Yes, we know that it should be length and width. Yes. What is the process? Amasha, what is the process? We need to find the area, isn't it? Yes. We have to multiply length with width, isn't it? So that's a process. The output. Yes. What is the output, Amasha? It's area of the rectangle, isn't it? So the first thing is you have to figure out this one, right? Now, once you figure out this one, you can start drawing the flow chart. So let's draw together. We say start. Then we can say input length. Then input width. And area equals, we know that length into width. Finally, we know that area and finally end, isn't it? Finally end. Right. Now let's draw the shapes. Let's draw the shapes. So I'm using a mouse, so my shapes are not that good, but I hope you can draw better. So this is the start, and then this is the input. And then you have width, again another input. So these are two inputs, isn't it? So I can have flow lines go one after the other like this. Okay. Yes, next one. So it will be a process, right? So you have to use rectangular shape. Yes, that's a rectangular shape. Then display area. Again, output. So the output should be like this. Input, output. You have this parallelogram shape. So that's the display area. Final one, it's the end, same as the start. Then we can end like this. So we start from the beginning. It's a start. You are getting length and the width. And then you multiply to get the area of the rectangle. And then you display the area. So you will see that all these steps execute one after the other. So because of that, this is a sequence control structure, right? So when you draw, when you finish the drawing, please let me know in the chat. Right. Achira, amaru deka? Achira? So in this example, you are supposed to draw a flow chart to calculate the area of a circle. Identify what are the inputs, what are the outputs, and the process. Yes, can you put the answers in the chat, please? Before you draw the flow chart. Once you draw the flow chart, send it to me through WhatsApp. So what we discuss, input, output, and the process. Now we need the radius. Process is 5r squared or 5 radius square, and the output is area. Now, so the next one, next control structure is called selection. Right? In previous case, in sequence, we execute all the steps, all the statements. In selection, we have what we call a condition. So this symbol used to represent a condition. Now, condition means there will be a question here like true, false. Now, for example, you can ask, is a rainy day? The answer is yes, no, or true, false. Yes, no, no. Whether your marks, let's say marks for a subject, whether the marks is greater than 50. So then the answer will be yes, no. So likewise, you have a condition. If it is true, you are going to execute this statement. If it is false or no, then you are going to execute this statement. So this is called selection. Okay. So let's write down selection. And then you can draw this. When you finish it, please let me know in the chat. Example. So let's look at an example for selection. Let's take down this. Draw a flowchart to get marks for a subject and output pass if marks are greater than or equal to 50, or output fail otherwise. Draw a flowchart to get marks for a subject and output pass if marks are greater than or equal to 50, or output fail otherwise. So let's start. I'm going to start with the whiteboard. So let's perform the analysis like earlier. Yes. Can you tell me what are the inputs? Yes. Tell me what is input? Yes, what is input? Exactly. Yes, marks. Yes. What is the process? What is the process? Check whether marks is greater than or equal 50 or not, isn't it? What is the output? Can one of you tell me what is the output? Yes. Output could be two values, like what are the two values? Either pass or fail. We don't know. It depends on whatever the value you enter, isn't it? Okay, so I will repeat. So in this particular case, we are requesting marks for a subject. And if the marks is greater than or equal to 50, then we are going to say pass, otherwise fail. So the input is marks, right? So that's clear, I guess. But the output, that's also clear. We know that it's depend on the marks. Either you will get pass or fail, right? You will get either pass or you will get fail. The process is you are going to check whether the marks is greater than or equal to 50. You are going to check whether marks is greater than or equal to 50. Okay, so let's draw this flow chart. But I want everyone to tell me whether you have understood or not so far. Similar. So we have to say start. So I'm going to start here. I will first type start. Next, we want to get the marks, isn't it? So I'm going to say, okay, input marks. I'm getting marks. Now, depend on the marks, we have to get two parts, isn't it? We have to take two different parts. So the question that I need to ask, yes, we can ask, yes, one question. Either we can ask whether is marks greater than or equal to 50, yes. Or you can ask the other way around if you want. You can ask whether marks is less than 50. Both ways are okay, right? So I'm going to ask whether the marks is greater than or equal to 50. Is marks greater than or equal to 50? Now I will have two answers, right? Now if it is yes, we know in one side we have to display pass. So it's a message. So that's why I put two colons, right? You will get to know these after that as well. It's not a variable as such, it's a message. So display pay otherwise. So these are the two things that I'm going to display. And then finally, I'm going to say end. Right now, let's draw. You can draw from the beginning, but in my case, since I'm using the computer, so I have to draw separately. So the start shape is like this, a little bit of rectangle and then half circles at the end. And then you get the marks. So the shapes are very important. And this is the first step. Now this one is a decision block, diamond shaped block we have to draw to say that this is a decision block, right? And then there are two answers for this because either it could be yes or no. So we have two sides. If it is yes, we are going to display pass. So if it is yes, then you are going to display pass. If it is no, because there could be two answers, right? If it is no, then display fail. Yes. So that's the end. Now these both sides should connect to end. So I will get it this side and this side. And then I will connect it to the end. Now we can check. So let's start. Okay, here also I forgot to put the line. Let's start, get marks. Let's say the marks is 85. Marks is 85. If it is marks is 85, you check whether the marks is 85. 85, is it greater than 50? Yes. Then you will say pass. So you will get pass, isn't it? Now let's try with 50. What will happen? You get marks as 50. So in this case, you check whether 50 is greater than or equal to 50. It's not greater than, but it's equal to 50. Yes, again, it's a pass. Let's say 25. Just check. I'm just checking the values. Let's say this is 25. You are checking whether 25 is greater than or equal to 50. Yes? No, right? So then it says fail. And then comes to an end. So you see that this is different from the sequence. Different from the sequence. Not all the steps are executed. Right? Not all the steps are executed. So in this example, you look at what is input. So it's marks. What is the output? So it should be either pass or fail. Now, given marks, how do you say pass or fail? So for that, you have to check whether the marks is greater than or equal to 50 or not, right? If it is greater than or equal to 50, then we are going to say pass. If not, we are going to say fail. So the flow chart start with the start. You are getting marks. And then here you are checking whether the marks is greater than 50. So there are two answers. If it is yes, then you are going to display pass. If it is no, then you are going to display fail. And then you finish it. draw a flowchart to get a number from the user and display whether the given number is even or odd. So you get a number and then you are going to display whether the number is even or odd. Example number 6. Draw a flowchart to output a state of water for a given temperature value. So first of all, you get a temperature, and based on the temperature, you are going to define the state. So if it is less than 0, then state should be ice. If it is between 0 and 100, then it should be water. If it is more than 100, then it should be steam. Okay, example number 7, draw a flowchart to get marks for a subject and print the grade. You get a marks of a subject and then you print grade. So you get marks. If the marks is greater than 75 or more, then you are going to output A. 65 or more, then you are going to output B. 55 or more, you then output C. 40 or more, then output S. If marks is less than 40, then we want to output W. ඔව් පුතේ එහෙනම් ඔය ටික තමයි පුතේ මට ඇත්තට මතක කරන්න ඕනේ. මම පුතාලට කිව්වා වගේ මට පොඩ්ඩකට එළියට යන්නත් ඕනේ. ඒක නිසා මම නතර කරනවා මෙතනින්. පුතාලා ඉවර කරන්න එපා. මට ඕනේ පළවෙනි එක්සැම්පල් එක කියන්නේ අර